56,000 jobs lost as JobKeeper came to an end. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because we're going to have a talk about an article in Yahoo Finance which is discussing the end of JobKeeper and how many jobs were lost. Now, there was a lot of concern that once JobKeeper disappeared, we'd see a hit to the economy and to lots of businesses. So we haven't really detected that yet in the latest insolvency data. It hasn't spiked up dramatically enough to see, but we are starting to see some job losses, 56,000 jobs lost. Now the question is, how many of these businesses are there for the long run? How many are closing down? And now with the new lockdown in Victoria, what's going to happen to all of the businesses there, particularly those that are in the retail sector or in the food sector? This is now a risk, a part of being a business. So if we have a look here, let's start at the current unemployment rate is sitting at 5.5% according to the ABS data. You can see how it just spiked up and then it crashed right back down. Now, if we look at the Roy Morgan data, this is an alternative methodology to measuring unemployment. They're saying it's 9%. And underemployment is 9.3, so that's 18.3%, which it's different numbers, it's a different methodology, but the trend is the same. Now, I tend to be a cynical old bastard, so I'd argue that probably the higher number is more accurate, but regardless, they're both going down. That's what is a sign of the economy. So employment prospects are improving for people. It's not universal. I definitely think we're seeing an exacerbation of the class divide in Australia. I think our recovery is going to certainly be K-shaped, but we'll see. Now, a lot of this is because the government came to the rescue. A lot of you've got to remember, none of this is free, all this intervention. And we'll be looking in a later video, just the GDP results for Australia, how it's better than pre-pandemic, but there's a price we're paying for it. So these were the JobKeeper applicants in October. When I grabbed the data, you can see hundreds of thousands of people were being supported. Not even 5,000 in NT, 15,000 in Tassie, 56 in South Australia, and 87,000 in WA. We look at that as a proportion of those employed. It was nearly 9% in Victoria, guys. So you can see how Victoria is just going to really, why we're having more and more calls for JobKeeper. Now, the concern is, can it go on forever? Now we're having the governments are locking down and there's constant calls for JobKeeper. The risk is that this could morph into just demands for government funding of jobs moving forward. Now, nothing is free. We're looking at $1.3 trillion of debt by 2023-24 at a state and federal level. Look at that climb as a percentage of GDP. National net debt and public debt interest payments. There's public debt interest payments there as a percentage of GDP. There's the debt. There's the debt. And I know we're not the worst in the world. We're not the worst in the world, but this is future work that we have to do, that we have to volunteer to the state. Isn't that fun? So let's have a look at this decline in jobs, because the cynic in me, I suspect a lot of this JobKeeper. I can understand why the government implemented it. They wanted to maintain those relationships between workers and employers. And I can't imagine Centrelink would have had the capacity to handle all of those people. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people in some states, all rocking up at Centrelink. Yeah. Why strain that system when you can just, use the businesses to be your Centrelink for you? I really hope there aren't businesses that are stretched too far that should have just shut down. If there's going to be some businesses that didn't need it at all, and there are going to be some businesses that shouldn't have taken it. Around 56,000 Aussies have lost their jobs since the end of the government's JobKeeper scheme, according to Treasury, but it could have been much worse. In March this year, Treasury estimated between 100,000 and 150,000 JobKeeper workers could lose their jobs in the months following the removal of JobKeeper. But luckily, that situation seems to have been avoided. Early indicators suggested that while there have been some job losses associated with the end of the program, and there may be more in the future, the strength of the broader labour market has meant that many of these individuals are finding jobs. Secretary to the Australian Treasury, Stephen Kennedy, said. So it's no different to usual. The most recent unemployment data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics indicated that the end of JobKeeper did not have a big impact on employment, instead saying the change in numbers were no different than usual seasonal fluctuations. So was JobKeeper worth it then? The unemployment rate fell to 5.5% in April, over a percentage point lower than it was in December, and the number of people receiving unemployment benefits have fallen by around 150,000 since the end of March. But Kennedy said despite the positive numbers, tens of thousands of Aussies have still lost their jobs. Up to 40,000 former JobKeeper workers lost employment in the first 2 weeks following the end of JobKeeper, he said. We now have an extra 2 weeks of data, and across the 4 weeks, around 56,000 former JobKeeper workers lost employment. Job vacancies at record highs. But it's not all bad. Aussie employers are on the hunt for more workers, with job advertisements jumping to record highs last month. And if we could jump here, we can see the job ads just surging right back up. Guys, look at that. So we're not at the peak. We're not at where we were at 2008, at least according to the ANZ job ad data. And I think that they're referring to some other data, and we'll look at that too. But you can see there is a dramatic increase in the number of job advertisements. Look at that surge. So hopefully there are opportunities for people out there. Hopefully there are. The data that they're looking at, that's this one here. We can see, job market booming, and this is the SEEK data, and you can see they're also showing growth in trade and services, following 11 industries. They're the highest growth, highest volume of roles: hospitality and tourism, healthcare, manufacturing, education, retail, community services, marketing, government and defense, farming, animals and conservation, and sports and recreation. So there hopefully are opportunities out there for these 56,000 people that have lost their jobs. And Kennedy said, we're on the path to potentially seeing higher wages as employers face a more competitive market as the number of Aussies looking for work dwindles. So that could be interesting because, I'll bring, nope, that chart doesn't work anymore. I've got to fix that. But we've had a lot of issues with wage growth here in Australia, guys. The RBA has failed repeatedly again and again in their predictions or their ability to predict wage growth. And, well, it's a supply and demand issue, everyone. If there isn't enough workers to do the job, people will start to offer higher pay and higher incentives, and we're starting to see it manifest in certain areas. But it won't be for all jobs, guys. It'll just be for the jobs that have a shortage. So what do you think, everyone? What is the solution to all of this? What's the takeaway? I would suggest we need to, while there's positive news, we need to ensure that the public are aware of the costs and implications of this. This has been propped up by a lot of government intervention. Yeah, people have kept their jobs. Fantastic. But remember, we've got over $1 trillion of debt that future generations are going to have to bear. That's the price they're paying, not the price we're paying. And often you may need some creative destruction in the economy to create opportunities. Seems to be we don't appreciate that anymore. What do you think? As always, guys, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one in the comments down below. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I create, here are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can sign up for SelfWealth or Stake. Support us using Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. Buy a merch from HeiseSays. Use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.